The Nord Stream pipelines have become a hotly contested issue at the heart of a geopolitical battle between the United States and Russia. In September 2022, the situation escalated dramatically with the intentional sabotage of the pipelines during the ongoing war in Ukraine. Both sides, Russia and the West, have pointed fingers at each other for this act. In this video, we will delve into the events of September and provide you with a comprehensive understanding of the broader implications and geopolitical consequences surrounding these gas pipelines. Stay tuned for an in-depth analysis of this complex and highly relevant issue. Welcome back to Geopolitics and Money, the premier YouTube destination where finance, geopolitics, commodities, and investing intersect. Our channel is dedicated to providing you with the latest insights and trends in the world of precious metals, digital assets, commodities, and investing. By subscribing to our channel, you'll stay ahead of the curve and be the first to know about all the latest developments. Nord Stream is a natural gas pipeline that runs from Russia to Germany, crossing the Baltic Sea. The pipeline consists of two parallel lines, Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2. Nord Stream 1 became operational in 2011, and it has a capacity of 55 billion cubic meters of natural gas per year. Nord Stream 2 was initially planned to be completed in 2019, but was delayed due to opposition from the United States and some European countries, who argued that the pipeline would increase Europe's dependence on Russian gas and undermine the continent's energy security. Despite these objections, construction of Nord Stream 2 resumed in late 2020, and the pipeline was completed in September 2021. The pipeline has a capacity of 55 billion cubic meters of natural gas per year, the same as the original Nord Stream pipeline. However, in September 2021, the pipeline was the target of an act of sabotage, causing the project to be temporarily halted. It was initially unclear who was responsible for the sabotage, but the United States and some European countries, including Poland and Ukraine, publicly accused Russia of being behind the attack. Russia denied any involvement, and the situation further heightened tensions between Russia and the West. The Nord Stream pipelines are controversial because they increase Europe's dependence on Russian natural gas and bypass countries like Ukraine, which currently serves as a transit country for Russian gas to reach Europe. Some critics argue that this gives Russia too much leverage over Europe's energy security, while others argue that the pipelines help ensure a stable and reliable supply of natural gas to Europe. For Germany, the pipelines are particularly valuable, as they provide an inexpensive source of energy for households and businesses and have contributed to the country's economic growth. Natural gas is a vital component of Germany's energy mix, providing around 24% of the country's energy needs in 2020, and this dependence is only set to increase with the country's planned phase-out of nuclear power and coal. In addition, the Nord Stream pipelines have broader implications for Europe's energy security. Europe has historically been dependent on Russian gas, with Russia accounting for around 40% of the region's gas imports. The Nord Stream pipelines increase this dependence, raising concerns about Russia's ability to use energy exports as a tool for political leverage. Since its inception, Nord Stream 1 has been viewed as a potential threat to Western power by the United States and its NATO allies. The company responsible for the pipeline, Nord Stream AG, was established in Switzerland in 2005 as a joint venture between Gazprom, a Russian company that generates substantial profits for its shareholders, who are believed to have close ties to President Putin, and several European energy firms. While Gazprom controlled the majority of the company's shares, the European firms had the right to manage sales of the natural gas to local distributors in Germany and Western Europe. Gazprom's profits were shared with the Russian government, and at times, gas and oil revenues amounted to a significant portion of the country's annual budget, reaching as high as 45% in certain years. According to NATO and Washington, Nord Stream 1 was already a risky endeavor. However, the construction of Nord Stream 2, which was finalized in September 2021, doubled the supply of affordable natural gas available to Germany and Western Europe should it be approved by German regulators. The second pipeline would provide enough gas to satisfy over half of Germany's annual consumption, further increasing Europe's dependence on Russian energy. Tensions between Russia and NATO had been consistently rising, fueled by the Biden administration's assertive foreign policy. The position of Olaf Scholz, Germany's recently elected chancellor, was uncertain to Washington. In a speech given in Prague following the fall of Afghanistan, Scholz expressed support for French President Emmanuel Macron's call for a more independent foreign policy for Europe, implying a reduced reliance on the actions of the United States. Amid these developments, Russian forces had been gradually amassing on the Ukrainian borders, raising concern in Washington. By the end of December, more than 100,000 troops were positioned to strike from Belarus and Crimea, and Secretary of State Blinken warned that this number could easily be doubled. The situation surrounding Nord Stream once again became the focus of the administration's attention. The United States feared that as long as Europe relied on the pipelines for inexpensive natural gas, countries such as Germany would be hesitant to provide Ukraine with the resources it needed to confront Russia. At this time of uncertainty, President Biden authorized his National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan, to create a group made up of representatives from different agencies to develop a plan of action. The group was instructed to consider all possible options, but ultimately only one solution was chosen. The next step was the development of a covert operation by the U.S. Navy to destroy the Nord Stream pipelines. This information was made public by the investigative journalist Seymour Hersh on February 8, 2023, in his article titled How America Took Out the Nord Stream Pipeline. Hersh is well known for his work as a journalist and has received numerous awards for his investigative reporting. In the upcoming meetings, the individuals involved discussed different strategies for an attack. The Navy recommended utilizing a recently acquired submarine to directly target the pipeline. The Air Force suggested dropping bombs that could be detonated remotely after a certain delay. The CIA stressed the importance of keeping the operation secretive regardless of the approach taken. It was evident to all that the situation was serious and not to be taken lightly. If the attack was linked back to the United States, it would be considered an act of war. Furthermore, the waters of the Baltic Sea were heavily patrolled by the Russian Navy, and there were no oil rigs that could be used as cover for a diving operation. Would the divers have to go to Estonia, right across the border from Russia's natural gas loading docks, to train for the mission? It would be a political nightmare if it would come out. Then, on February 7, 2022, less than 3 weeks before the seemingly inevitable Russian invasion of Ukraine, Biden met in his White House office with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, who, after some wobbling, was now firmly on the American team. At the press briefing that followed, Biden defiantly said, "If Russia invades, there will be no longer a Nord Stream 2. We will bring an end to it." 20 days earlier, Undersecretary Nuland had delivered essentially the same message at a State Department briefing with little press coverage. "I want to be very clear to you today," she said in response to a question. "If Russia invades Ukraine, one way or another, Nord Stream 2 will not move forward." Biden's and Nuland's indiscretion might have frustrated some of the planners, but it also created an opportunity. According to Seymour Hersh's source, some of the senior officials of the CIA determined that blowing up the pipeline no longer could be considered a covert option because the president just announced that they knew how to do it. Get ready for an exciting reveal. Our next video will cover the thrilling operation that took place, and we'll give you an inside look at how it was planned in collaboration with the Norwegian Secret Service and Navy. You won't want to miss it. Subscribe to our channel now to stay up to date on the latest developments and uncover the mysteries of this daring operation. We promise to bring you the most up-to-date and exciting coverage that can't be found anywhere else. Subscribe today and be part of the action.